Welcome to another episode of Comics and Sweet Tea. I hope you guys have had an outstanding week. So awesome to have you watching right now. Guys, you are absolutely incredible. Thanks to all the new subscribers. Keep doing what you guys are doing. You're absolutely amazing. The channel's growing. I can't thank you guys enough. Hey, this channel's for you. This is for the indie community to help get the word out about other awesome creators, projects. So, anything, help us out with the algorithm. Let me get this out of the way. I hate to even do it, but give us the thumbs up. But most importantly, YouTube's flavor of the week right now, or flavor of the month, I should say, is comments. Leave a comment, you guys, a question, what you think about the show. It doesn't, you know, give us a wave as long as it's some kind of comment, you know. If you got a question for myself or the creator of the night, be sure and drop those comments in. Even if you're watching the show later on after it's aired live, we'll get those answered and get back to you. I promise that. It means the world. It helps elevate this needle in the stack of needles to get more eyes on it. So yeah, just be sure and drop that comment in there. Um, I'm rambling. Hey, got this fancy new introduction, so let me hit that off real quick. So without further ado, we've got an awesome show for you. My friend and fellow creator, Keith Mirage. Let's get him in here.
How's everybody doing?
Man, I'm good. How are you doing, my friend?
Just let's all take a deep breath together. We're alive.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
that's good, man. Skylights. Let's jump into that. I know that's been your baby. You're man. You are engrossed in it when you can be. How's it coming?
It's when I first started it was something that it's a rough idea, and I thought I was going to quickly knock it out. It was going to be black and white and really rough, kind of like how I do storyboards. And I started to care about it. I started to become something a little more important to me. The characters started telling me what they were wanting to do, and it was developing. And now I want to finish strong. And I've been fortunate enough to work a living doing storyboards uh, professionally for over a decade now, and I'm rushed all the time with storyboards on a regular basis. Every day is it's a very high demand. Whenever you get any job, it's just like you know you can, every every production is run by headless chickens, and they're very nervous, and they want to get those boards immediately, like yesterday. So when it comes to skylights, when I do get to work on it, it it's such a vacation from that, and
Right.
and it's like when everything else gets done, and I get to go into where skylights was paused. You know, I and and visit those characters in that world again, and help them get to the next scene and next pace in the story, and it's coming to climax, it's coming to the end, and like it's exciting.
Yeah. So ballpark, where do you think you going to finish up as far as pages? I'm curious more than anybody else.
I gotta put these on because my eyes are shot from.
Do your thing, buddy. I like we were talking about backstage. I need
Yeah.
mine on. Everything's a blur right now.
Um, where am I at? Uh, I know it's numbered page 72 of issue 4.
Oh wow!
So there's maybe issue 7 at this point.
Right, right.
But it's going to be printed in a whole book, like a whole one thing.
Gotcha.
That's my goal with it. But I'm not rushing it for anybody. It's like, when you're dedicating your own time to an indie project, like you make a deadline, but
Right,
there's an understanding that this is something, I'm not getting paid to do this, and where I'm putting out 20 23 pages every month,
right,
and but there's this 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 idea that if this is my one shot at creating a book, I want it to be around for, it's going to be around if somebody finds this in rubble someday, you know 50 years in the future. You want them to have a good time.
yeah. You
you
want
know
it just to stand the test of time. You
right.
want to leave your mark.
At least, even if that's not the case, I mean, we never know what's going to be a success, or what's going to, like, reach no one. But the what we can control is we can do the best we can with it, and
Right.
that's that's what I'm trying to do, is do the best I can at this point in time in my development, in my where I am now, and that's what we do. And that takes a certain amount of, like, courage, and I could get very dramatic with it, but explaining the creative process very
Yeah.
intense and scare off a bunch of people. But it's the nature. It's the nature of it.
I,
It's real.
yeah. You said that. I mean, people. Me and you have talked about this in depth multiple times. I mean, it takes so much to produce one of these things. People have no clue unless they've actually done it. You know, you put your blood, sweat, and tears. You sink hour upon hour into it.
Yeah.
And like you said, no guarantee of any return. No, it's passion. That's what it is. At the bottom, eh, you have to forsake everything else and just follow your passion and hope that everybody else kind of jumps on the train with you. You know.
Hmm. And you know, uh, there's a lot of facets, like a lot of alleyways we can go down talking about this. Um, but you know, if you're doing this, it's really a compulsion to tell a story. You're not going to do this. I mean, if you do this on a whim, it's usually like what I call huckster comics, right?
Right. Right.
They've got like some kind of silly, ridiculous gimmick, and they're just like, they see that it's popular at a time, something's trending, and they'll do that. But there's what what drives a different type of person to do comics are, I have a story to tell, I'll do a comic, or I'll
Right.
do a short film, or whatever the medium is, right? Um, but comics are such a beautiful thing, man. I mean,
It really is.
it really is like a choice of, like, my medium of choice. Even loving film as I've done for so long, is like comics. There's nothing like it, where you can sit down and, like, nobody else is there to interrupt the vision, and it's all you. You're to blame. you're, you know, it's all you, and it's your idea. It's raw. It's untainted a little bit. If
No,
that's the right way to say it.
I had talked with somebody else about this recently. What do you feel like is kind of key in what we do? As far as I kind of put that vaguely. Let me let me back it up and come at you in a different way with it. As far as being key to it, you, you talked earlier about being in your own bubble. Does that ever get to be where it's a problem? I mean,
For too
as far
long.
as right, right,
But it's a place I need to go in order to be productive. If I'm
gotcha,
like what you're doing, where you're doing regular building a YouTube, and it's growing and all of that. It's not something, me personally, that I can do at the same time as being creative, like working, because I've got like, I'll do the storyboards, and it's not something like another profession that I can kind of leave drawing and take a break from characters and story and be in my own body, be me, right? Storyboarding, it's a collaborative thing, and it's like it's less about the framing, like the boards that you're giving, and more about like what you bring to the table, your sense of storytelling, your sense. It's like customer service for film in a way, you know.
right.
But um, if I do, if I'm, I get I get affected by social media in a way like it's too distracting, right? So I need to
Gotcha.
like pull back from that, where I can like, I need to really like submerge myself into the the story I'm telling, which is Skylights right now, you know,
Right.
and it's been for a long time, and it, it it's like, to be singular focused, multitasking isn't something that works for me creatively.
I got you completely. And it's like we talked about. I feel like I'm a little too plugged in sometimes because you have to learn. Like you said, you have. I've learned to kind of. I wish I had learned to balance my life a little bit better than I have my indie career. But it's weird. I can separate my work from this. I can compartmentalize it, and it's like I turn on a switch for this, and I can turn it off, and I can turn my creative switch on when I put a pencil in my hand, or get to the art board or my tablet or whatever.
Uh,
You're breaking up, bud. I don't know what's going on.
all right. Glitches.
I I see you now. The last couple minutes, nothing.
Oh, okay. All right. Cut. So, what were we saying?
We were talking about compartmentalizing everything, and I was talking about being able to shut it off,
Yeah.
for this, and turn it back, turn my creative switch on when I sit down to draw.
Well, I mean, it's different hats, right? I mean, and you kind
Right,
of learn like what you need through that. When you spend a long time, if you're just being creative, you're just drawing pages and writing and characters. It like it'll hit you like what you need. Like, oh, I need a break, and to get the hell out of here. I need a nap. I need to go spend
Yeah.
time with the family, or go running or something.
Right.
Just get out. And that's really important. I mean, there's a book written a few years ago that I read, by Outside Magazine. It was a study about what artists can learn from athletes and what athletes can learn from artists. And one of the takeaways was, um, that recovery day. That if athletes were uh, took Sunday off, they can actually be more productive on Tuesday with that one day off, to just completely, whether it was like recover physically, or just step away totally. And that really works for me as an artist, where if I'm going full 7 days and then into the next week having working, it's burnout time. It's burnout. So you're actually more productive if you actually take that day of rest, or 2 days of rest, whatever you need, and then hit the ground running. You'll be more productive, and you'll be more satisfied with the results. It's a way to maintain a level of performance, a quality control.
Right. Right. Um, I spoke with somebody else about this, and actually, I've spoke with several creators about this lately, and I know me and you have touched on it too. The different big names, um, publishers, things of that nature, jumping on Kickstarter, which is supposed to be for the little guys. What are your thoughts on it, Keith? As far as them
Get the
coming in,
hell out
kind
of
of,
here.
kind of invading the
No,
space.
it's okay. I mean, eh, it's. I mean, it's a different. It's open to anybody,
Right.
you know, and um, there's no there's no envy or jealousy to it. It's just you know, they have the street cred, right, of working
Exactly.
on Batman and Superman, and then you have, they're not getting work over there because they're busy dropping the ball, so
Exactly.
they'll go to um, Kickstarter or something, and and strut their stuff. But there's so much that doesn't feel personal, right?
Right.
There's something
Right.
there's a lot of projects that I don't feel connected to. Maybe it's my age. I feel like the time of collecting for me was like 14 to 17, 18 maybe. And that was the time that I was really like all in on reading comics, and it's that stage of development. So I think there's an element of that, of impressionability,
Right.
uh, and that an imagination of that time in our lives, where we really connect with those characters. And uh, so there isn't. I don't feel that as a comic fan. I don't connect to a lot of stuff anymore, and maybe that's just because I'm busy creating it. I'm
Right.
creating my own stuff, and that's what excites me. Um, but it's not to diminish like what anybody's doing. It's just like personally, like I'm not invested in. But I don't know what the crowd is like anymore. What they like. I mean, it seems to have really leaned more to manga, and
Really
that's
has. That's one of the biggest growing things out there right now is just manga and anime and all that stuff. I mean, it's one thing I think with the manga. It's pretty much it's a complete story, just like you're trying to do. You know,
right, right.
I think people are gravitating more to that now instead of the monthly thing,
Yeah.
just getting like the serial story. I think, and I don't think the serial story is going anywhere. People just were in the Netflix kind of kicked it all off in the binge stage, getting everything right now instead of taking time to really, work through it and savor it, week to week and whatever show we were watching at the time. I do think the serial thing is making a comeback though. I mean, even some of the streamers are starting to
Hmm.
adopt that model again. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's a mixed bag. You could go either way, but I
There's
think that's
oh,
long story short. I think that's why they're going after why manga is growing so much right now.
yeah, and the production of manga is so much different than American comics. Also, you have uh, my fiance. She was born in Japan, so she read all those. They have these kind of anthology books that come out every month. So you'll see like you'll get like a thick book, but it'll be many different issues in one book,
Right,
and um, then they get collected individually. Once they've accumulated a certain amount of issues, which isn't too far from how American comics do it. Um, Only that it's sold in a thick book of many different ones, and then you have you know an assembly line of comic method of making the comics where someone might do the backgrounds. An assistant will draw the backgrounds in manga, and while the main artist will write and draw in some cases. So it's a little bit different production wise, but they're kicking America's ass as far as comics go.
they really are.
They've
Um,
uh,
Marvel and DC, we've talked about this many times, and I don't know what's going to shake them out of this rut, man. I really don't.
well, they could try. They could try a lot of things, but they get in trouble. And this one,
Yeah.
uh,
Um.
yeah.
What do you? Okay. Let's dive into Star Wars. We normally talk that. Um. I'll jump back a minute. Dune.
Yeah.
How did you feel about Denis Villeneuve's Dune 1 and 2? Have you seen them both yet?
Who? Which one?
Dune
Dune.
1
Oh, I
and
love Dune. I thought it was great. Like, I mean, it's not a crowd pleaser exactly, but it seemed to be. This is why I say it was great, because it seemed that somehow Denis uh, Villeneuve uh, was able to get control of the vision, and it seemed like it's a move away from producer filmmaking, like studio
right,
filmmaking, where it's like a community process of check marks and this was something that I've seen. I haven't seen in a while, which is like something with vision, right? And that's what I really appreciated about. It wasn't story wise like fantastic and thrilling, but it's like it's I was able to enjoy it because of that, because it's like it's giving it back to the director,
right.
you know, and that's one thing that I think needs to happen with film is giving the medium back to the director, and the rest of these people to get out of the way, get the hell out of the way. They're ruining an industry with
Yeah,
whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's
they
just
really are.
like we need like visionary directors again, and we like give the power back to the. I mean, film has always been a director's medium, and that needs to go back to that. I think.
Yeah, it's pretty much become making a movie by committee,
And
basically.
they don't know how to do it.
They don't. They really need to find the director that you trust his vision. You know, and give him, you want him to make a movie, give him the tools to make that movie. Make sure if he's going off of your property, talk to the guy, see what he's got up his sleeve. You know, don't tell him how to make it. Stand back and watch how it does it.
Yeah.
And, but have those conversations to make sure you've got the guy that you need
Yeah.
to fulfill your vision of your project and get out of his way. You know?
What did you think of it? What did you think of Dune so
Oh
far?
my God, dude. I fell in love with the second one. I really did. And it hurt me because I seen what Star Wars could be
Mm.
if they would just let somebody just go with it. You know, I've been thinking about that. Who are the two guys that did 21 Jump Street that they hired on to bring Solo? That
I have
before,
no idea.
anyway, they wound up making Into the Spider Verse. They're over that now.
Okay.
So those guys were actually hired to make Solo, and Kathleen Kennedy had a big falling out with them. She didn't like the direction they were going, and I tell you, I would love to see. They pretty much had a good majority of that movie shot. I would love to see what they had. I think I think it could have been very interesting. Like you said, trusting the director and letting him bring his vision to life and just getting out of his way. Star Wars needs that worse than anything right now. They give Ryan Johnson the keys to the kingdom, and then he didn't do exactly what they wanted, and they had a knee jerk reaction. Which, don't get me wrong, I've got my flaws with that movie too. I mean, it was a complete. Uh, it's one of the worst thing. I've got a lot of passion behind this.
Well,
He
I mean, that's the
basically,
fan base that they're alienating is a passionate
yeah,
fan base. But
he basically went away from everything that made Luke Skywalker who he was. He abandoned that whole character and turned it on its head. And of course, the fans come at him with they pulled out the torch and pitchfork. And Disney had a knee jerk reaction. Said, "Okay, we see we're not going to let the directors have the control anymore, so we're going to bring JJ back, and we're basically going to let him give you all the fan service, and then we got that horrible, god awful mess that was uh, the, the last Skywalker. So I mean, you got both swings of the pendulum, so to speak. You got all the way to one side and you got the other. We need to figure out how to let a director get in the medium there and go with it. And I don't know if we can do that in today's time.
um, the it's unforgivable, right? That they didn't unite Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill,
Oh God, yeah,
Harrison Ford. That's the biggest like letdown of of the century.
yeah, of this
You
new
know,
trilogy for
just
sure.
like that. That's
Just get them all
unforgivable.
back on the screen.
I can't. I, like. I just. I can't. I, I. You know, with what Star Wars is not for me. It isn't. And not like. Yeah, I guess like there's nothing to do about that. I mean, there's a whole uh, therapy genre of YouTubers and of talking about how wrong they are about what they've done to Star Wars, or
Yeah.
and what they're continuing to do. But in reality, it's just like uh, there's nothing else to say about it, right? I mean, there's
Right.
nothing to do. We can cry about it all we want and gripe
It's
about it
not
all
going
we
to
want.
change anything. Yeah.
Like
They're going to do
they're
exactly what
staying
they
the
want to do.
course. They don't care what we what our demographic has to say. They don't care about uh, what what the long history of fans have been, which weren't just white men. It was everyone. Like everyone that was
Everybody.
into Star Wars. Um, there was no. I mean, we've regressed so much. We've taken such a backwards trajectory as far as our social uh, I don't know, just it's regressive, you know.
Yeah.
And
Putting everybody in a different category and,
yeah,
and breaking them down by race and
this
gender and
is
all
this is
this. We're
what we
going
were
backwards.
this is what we were fighting against,
Yeah.
and this is what um, they've kind of brought to, and it's not just Hollywood. I see it every day with my job in every production. There's things that people keep going after Disney for their policies of DEI and things like that. But it's every production, and I see it firsthand. What who's who's being hired, the type of perception of the people that they're hiring, and I have receipts. I'm not just saying that. You know,
Right.
and we see
Right.
it. We see the result in in the films and the TV shows and the stuff. It's not shows anymore; it's content. You know, and it's every small studio for commercials for TV shows are pushing uh, DEI, and they're doing it like they have uh, a gun to their head, and they're being funded. They're being incentivized um, by grants. Unions are being incentivized by grants, and it's very real. Uh, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's a reshaping of our culture of entertainment in Hollywood itself. So it's very real. It's it's everything.
I gotcha.
Yeah,
Kind of going in that same vein,
yeah,
AI.
yeah.
How have you seen its effects already in your industry?
Well, what do you know about it? I mean, have you from your side of things? What do you know? Yeah.
Man, from what I've been looking at and what I know Marvel has started using it. I know they used it to build the intro to the Sam Jackson led show, Secret Invasion. That was the one.
Mhm.
And not only that, there's been other productions that have started using it. They're basically using it as a shortcut device in certain areas and cutting people out of their jobs, cutting storyboarders out of their jobs. Um, he- there was a big artist recently just got busted with DC. They pulled all these covers. He was using AI. Um, I mean, it's a real thing, and it's affecting us a whole lot quicker than anybody anticipated. I
It
believe.
is. It is. It's moving fast. Um, Earlier in the year, a few months back, I would say maybe 3 months ago, there was a company called Open Source AI, and they had meetings all over the biggest studios out here Hollywood, and they were basically giving direction and presentation to everyone on how they can implement AI into um, their productions. And uh, this is what union um, unions were fighting uh, with the studios, and the contracts, all the negotiations, all the strikes uh, were. This was a big topic in everything that IATSE was fighting for. I mean, it was all of the unions, everyone,
Right.
Writers Guild, every craft in the production of film and TV were uh, striking in large part because of the effects of AI.
So did they? This is what I wasn't clear on, and maybe you can enlighten everybody.
Mm.
So they settled, on these strikes. Did I know the actors pretty much got what they wanted? Um, as far as the production teams and stuff like that, and the storyboardists and all the people behind the scenes that actually make sure this thing gets made, were they kind of thrown to the wolves? Or
That's so contracts were due to be up with IATSE um, by the end of June. So there was a looming possibility of more strikes coming. But
right,
what I had just received, um, uh, they came to an agreement, and a lot of the I'm trying to find the actual announcement. Let me see if I can bring it up real quick. Uh, let's see. I mean, there's just a ton of DEI stuff.
I done a video a while back that and I don't know if this would help, but I mean, reaching out to your local representatives, and trying to bring this to their awareness that this thing is hurting people, it's putting people out of jobs.
Well,
It's
they reached some detail. I don't know them like memorized by heart, but I did scan through like what emails I did get, and the gist of it that I got is that they they reached certain um, uh, like blocks on AI, like certain restrictions that
right,
nobody could actually be replaced. Nobody's job can be replaced by the use of AI or used their likeness, voice, work, art um, for training for AI, and then be replaced by that. So that's part of what was being negotiated.
right. Well, hopefully they get it figured out and they put a stop to it, because I mean, it's guys like you're going to feel the crunch before anybody else does. You know,
Oh, I have, yeah,
yeah,
I have. I I I talked to you like where I was applying for different jobs outside of art,
right,
and was you know rejected by all of them because there was just like I don't know if it's anyway people aren't hiring or what, but uh, people, I mean writers even are using people that have been writing screenplays and scripts for their entire careers have been they've lost their homes, they've lost their their jobs, they've gone back. Like it's like starting over. A lot of people have said, and you can find all this online of people giving their testimonies, and it's been a devastating blow of just this introduction this uh, to this new technology, where studios, big and small, are trying to find ways to cut corners and save some money and see who they can replace. And what they found and this is a real story, was uh, anonymously shared a couple months ago, um, that uh, art director was hiring these prompters for AI, and um, they because everything goes through revisions, right?
Right.
So you do something based on an initial meeting, you turn it in, and then it comes back, and they say, "Well, we want you to change this, change the lighting, or change the color, whatever it is. If it's a concept, then it's color, maybe an angle, you know." And then they weren't able to do it. In a lot of cases, they were coming back with a completely different thing, because they're just typing something in,
Right.
and they've, I mean, it's kind of sad, but that they're that excited over, uh, it's like, pressing a button and being excited about the photocopy that just shot out, you know. Um,
Yeah.
and so what they ended up having to do was hire artists to replace the prompters. So, you know, the, it's not all that. I've had some time to kind of like mull everything over and take everything in, and and come to a rational place of it with it, because first initial is like, this is a disaster. This is
Right.
anti-life, and it's taking everybody's job. It's going to replace, even dock workers were threatening to strike, uh, because of automation. So I mean, how far is it going to go? We don't know, but
Right.
it's here. It's here to stay. Like, AI is not going anywhere. It's growing. Tech companies are investing in it and developing it further, and we're stuck with it. So what it comes down to is, how do we how much do we allow it to take over what we do, our art, our craft? Do we let it replace the humanity that goes to our creativity? And I think that is, a tragedy if we allow that to happen. And it all comes down to us as individuals, as individual artists. Are we going to allow, um, our pursuit of skill, our pursuit of vision, to be lazily killed by something that is a push button? And I refuse to disappear like that.
Right.
I won't do that. And I think a lot of artists feel that they won't do that. And yeah, so.
Yeah, I did a show a while back, talking about AI, and it's threatening our fundamental ways of expression. I mean, as a society, we express ourselves through art, whether it be on the page with drawing, painting, whether you get in front of a camera or on stage and you act. Singers, I mean, it's all being threatened by AI.
Yeah.
Because they can computer generate anything now with this AI. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we lose our ability to express ourselves, and those things that bottle up inside of us, and they continue to bottle up, and we're not allowed to express them, what happens to our society then? I mean, it's like Pandora's box. You open that box, and we've opened it. You know,
It's here.
what will we do now?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to be like, afraid of technological advancement, and not. But the the thing, the spirit of creativity that drives someone to the arts, right, is an extremely um, active pursuit, right? It's
Right,
not it's a verb, right? You have to you life is a choose your own pain adventure, right? And you you choose to be an artist knowing that there will be so much like that comes with it, right? Maybe you don't know that at first, but you will learn, right? You will learn like the struggle of reaching vision and working on your craft. It, it's an active pursuit, and it's like a daily battle to me. Um, if you're, I mean, it may sound dramatic and silly to some people, hearing me talk this way, but it's true because it it is a it is a goal to win the battle every day, win the day.
right,
Like, just to get your ass in the seat is sometimes a struggle because of it could be doubt, it could be I want to be active, it's a nice day out, it's like,
exactly.
but it's a commitment to an art form, to skill, to and you have to take it seriously, right? The artist may be the only one that takes it seriously, while everyone laughs at you for taking it so seriously, and that's something that comes with the territory. But I accept it. It's like it it's a way of life, and there's something that is completely fulfilling in completing the creative process, which
Right.
is like seeing a sunset and taking it in, doing a painting of that, and giving it back to the world, right? That's the completion of a creative process, and where comics fall in that, that's through the observation of so many different things of life, of experience, and it culminates into Superman, you know, and or taking somebody else's character and creating that. So that is human. That is specifically and exclusively human. That will never be a computer experience. You'll never
Right.
get it. You won't get it because it takes effort. Effort is the difference. A tech bro is not going to understand what art is.
Never.
It's artificial. It's in the name.
Exactly.
So so you know, I think through uh, art's never going to die. AI won't replace art. It won't replace the creative process because it's human. It's always been there. It always will be, no
Right.
matter what the audiences do. Right.
You know,
So
we've talked about that before. You know, you can go back and you can see where the cavemen did basically
absolutely
comics on the cave walls. Comics
everywhere,
and
all
art
over the
in general,
world.
they're not going anywhere.
I love it. It's. I mean, the hieroglyphs. In Egypt.
Yeah,
They're telling a story on the wall. That's comics.
exactly.
The paintings of Leonardo da Vinci. Those are comics. He's telling a story, and it's a beautiful thing. And you know, I just believe in the commitment to a craft and skill. Um, it's not something to like that comes easy, and we don't want easy
No,
as an
it,
artist.
God no. That's part of the joy of it is the struggle. I mean and I say struggle loosely. It's not like you're going to war, which technically you are in some ways. You're going
Yeah,
to war with yourself.
it
You
depends on
know,
some people, but I think that's how it feels to me. You
yeah,
know, it's a it's deep. You
it
know,
is. Especially if you're really committed to it. I mean, that's where you separate the men from the boys. You as a creator, the passion and the fire to create. It's what gets you up in the morning. It's what gets you going.
yeah.
It's what keeps driving you when you think nobody gives a shit. You're like, fuck them. I'm gonna see this to the end.
So many days I wake up and it's just like this page is kicking my ass. You know,
Yeah,
it's just but you want to get it. You want to you're going to conquer that dragon.
that's
And
right.
that's not to say I'm not having any delusions of grandeur. Don't get that misconstrued where I think I'm better than anybody. What I'm trying to do is be better than I was yesterday, be better
Exactly.
than I was last week. It um, it's a mistake to think it's ego. It's not. It's about like I said, it's about like mastering a skill, and you'll spend your whole life without mastering it, but it's worth the pursuit, right? That's what it is. That's what art is, and I just machines won't ever feel that. You know?
And I tell you that, hey, that's a perfect point to end the show on right there. Hey, getting your ass up and just doing it and
Yeah,
seeing it through.
yeah.
I couldn't think of a better way to end the show. So, guys, whenever you're feeling down, just get your ass in gear and finish that damn project because you're going to change somebody's life with it. Uh, Always keep that in the back of your mind. And you're going to touch somebody. And it doesn't matter if it's just one person or a
Mhm.
million. Y- You've changed somebody's life with your work. So keep pushing through. That's a show. That's fucking Keith Mirage. Awesome as always. Anyway,
Thank you.
that's it.
Thanks so much for having me on. And
Dude, it's a
Unsafe
blast
World
as
was
always.
was I enjoyed reading that. You and Matt killed it. Um, um, well, we could talk about that another time. But
We'll catch up on that.
yeah. So thanks again, man. Thanks for inviting me.
It's such a pleasure as always, Keith. And that's the show, guys. Until next week.